In the distant galaxy of Rymura, nestled between shimmering stars and glowing nebulae, there floated a peculiar little space station known as Orbitantoon. Unlike ordinary space stations, Orbitantoon wasn't built for scientists or astronauts. It was a place for melodies, rhythms, and rhymes. The station echoed with lullabies, giggles, and cheerful songs all day and night. Among the many tiny residents who lived there was a curious, cybernetic spider named Itsy B. Spindle. Itsy wasn't like the other robotic bugs and microdroids that lived in the station. She was crafted by a musical inventor to keep the rhyme. Circuits polished and webbed tunnels clear. With 8 spindly legs that clicked like tiny drum beats and eyes that sparkled like stardust, Itsy loved to explore the winding tunnels of Orbitantoon. She would hum little rhymes as she worked, her favorite being a simple old song passed down through galactic generations. The Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the water spout ... But one unusual day, while she was securing web lines near the outer echo tunnel, a warning siren blared throughout the station. A cosmic rainstorm was approaching. These storms weren't ordinary. They were made of charged plasma drops and data waves that could short out circuits and flood entire passages. Itsy turned her eyes to the sky dome above and saw dark swirling. Clouds of quantum mist forming. She scuttled quickly, wrapping her silken thread to anchor herself. But the storm arrived faster than expected. The first raindrop wasn't wet. It was made of glowing blue plasma, hissing as it touched the tunnel walls. Dozens more followed, splashing and crackling with electrical force, before she could climb to safety. A strong wave of the storm surged through the spout tunnel where she was perched. With a sharp zap and a high-pitched bzzzt, the force of the data rain washed her off the wall. Her tiny body tumbled down the spiraling webbed passage, spinning and spinning until she landed at the bottom of the station's central drain, a cold, dark and echoey place that no one ever visited. For a moment, everything was quiet. The only sound was the dripping of data rain fading into silence. Itsy's legs twitched gently. Her energy core buzzed softly, flickering with fading light. But she wasn't broken. She blinked her glassy eyes and steadied herself. "This isn't the end," she whispered to herself, a little spark of determination glowing in her chest. "I always climb back up." With that, Itsy reached out one leg, then another, and began to move. The tunnel walls were slick with leftover static, but she gripped tightly with her magnetic web tips. Inch by inch, she started to climb back toward the surface, humming her favorite rhyme quietly to herself. The Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again ... In the pitch-black tunnel, her soft glow shimmered. Though she was small, her courage was vast. Somewhere far above, the music of Orbitantoon still played faintly, muffled but real. Itsy smiled. She knew she had a long way to go, but giving up was never an option. And so, in the heart of a floating musical space station, beneath a galaxy drenched in cosmic rain, a tiny spider began her climb once more toward light, toward song, and toward something far greater than she had ever imagined. The tunnels of Orbitantoon were long and winding, built from crystal alloy and sonic steel, designed to carry not only energy but echoes of melodies sung throughout the galaxy. As Itsy B. Spindle slowly made her way upward through the narrow wormhole shaft. Each of her steps produced a faint chime, like the soft plucking of harp strings. The storm had passed, but its remnants lingered. Tiny static sparks danced along the tunnel walls, and the air smelled of ionized mist. Itsy had always known these tunnels like the back of her claw, but after the rainstorm, everything seemed slightly different. The paths she once traveled with ease were now slippery and cracked. Her web lines, carefully spun over months of maintenance, had been melted or ripped away. Still, she climbed, gripping tightly with her magnetic feet, her internal navigation systems guiding her like a compass of light. As she climbed, she repeated her rhyme like a mantra. The Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. The rhythm of the words echoed through the corridor, making her feel less alone. It wasn't just a song anymore, it was her battle cry, her spark of hope in the silence of the cold, metallic shaft. Halfway up the tunnel, she paused to recharge. Pulling herself into a small node recess, she extended her spinneret into a cracked power socket, siphoning just enough energy to boost her internal battery. A warm glow returned to her eyes as her system stabilized. Tiny diagnostic lights blinked green on her legs, and her balance recalibrated. She was ready. She crawled onward, one careful step at a time, weaving small anchor webs behind her. These web trails helped her keep track of where she'd been and served as safety lines in case of another system jolt. Every so often, she'd stop to whisper the rhyme again, and sometimes she even changed the words, creating her own versions. The tiny brave spider faced the stormy rain. She sparked and she twirled but rose again. Her singing wasn't just for comfort. It had an unexpected effect. Whenever she sang, the walls of the tunnel seemed to shimmer faintly. Unbeknownst to her, Orbiton-Toon's AI system was sensitive to rhythm and tone, and her melody was slowly reawakening dormant circuits in the tunnel walls. As her voice echoed, faint lights flickered to life along the wormhole's edge, illuminating her path. Then she heard something strange, a distant hum that didn't match the usual mechanical sounds of the station. It was rhythmic, musical even, like voices harmonizing. Curious, Itsy followed the sound upward until she reached a large circular chamber. Tucked behind a maintenance hatch she had never noticed before, the hatch creaked open with a soft hiss, revealing a hidden observatory chamber. Floating gently in the anti-gravity field were dozens of old satellites, covered in space dust and tangled wires. Each had a faded emblem of musical notes carved into its surface. They were the singing satellites' legendary relics from the early days of Orbiton-Toon, believed to be long deactivated, yet here they were, softly humming nursery rhymes in perfect harmony, like a cosmic choir. They had detected Itsy's song and responded in kind. One of the satellites, a slightly cracked orb named Lyric 9, opened a rusty port and spoke in a robotic yet gentle tone. You carry the tune of reboot, the melody of return. Sing, little spider, and let us power your way. Itsy tilted her head, surprised but delighted. She spun a small strand of web toward the nearest satellite and sang louder this time, her voice echoing with strength and pride. The satellites joined her, harmonizing in layers of celestial sound. Empowered by their song and the light they gave off, Itsy felt her strength renewed. She knew now that the way forward wasn't just about climbing, it was about singing, believing, and sharing her voice. With the song of the stars behind her, she resumed her journey up the wormhole. Now glowing with every note, she sang as Itsy continued her journey through the illuminated tunnel. A new sense of wonder filled her tiny mechanical heart. The harmonies of the singing satellites still echoed softly behind her, their ancient voices blending with the hum of the station's reactivated circuits. Each step she took was stronger than the last, every movement infused with purpose. The path ahead felt different now, less like a struggle, more like a stage for something magical waiting to unfold. The tunnel walls began to vibrate gently, not from instability, but from resonance. Itsy realized that her song, combined with the satellite choir, had activated a long-lost feature of Orbiton-Toon. The station had been built with embedded sound-reactive nodes, designed to amplify learning through rhythm and music. As she climbed, the walls shimmered with light patterns that pulsed to the beat of her song. They weren't just listening, they were dancing with her. Then, something new appeared before her. A fork in the tunnel, split into two shimmering paths. One glowed blue, the other pulsed with soft golden light. Her instincts told her to follow the golden path, where the vibrations were warmer and the air buzzed with melody. As she turned toward the golden tunnel, she heard gentle voices, childlike, curious, and playful. The voices weren't singing in words, but in tones, like laughter made of music. She crawled quickly, eager to uncover the source, and soon found herself inside an enormous chamber called the Sound Dome, a spherical room filled with floating music orbs, each no bigger than a marble, and each glowing with a unique color. These were the legendary learning notes, once used by Orbiton-Toon's founders to teach young beings across galaxies through sound, light, and rhythm. Long ago, these notes had guided children's first steps in language, empathy, and understanding. But after the great silence fell across Orbiton, they had been forgotten, until now. As Itsy entered, the notes swirled around her like excited fireflies. One landed gently on her head, sending a jolt of happiness through her circuits. Another brushed against her leg, releasing a memory and image of a child giggling while reciting rhymes in zero gravity. Itsy realized that these notes were alive, in their own way, storing echoes of every child who had ever sung along. Drawn to her song, the orbs began to harmonize. They hovered in patterns, arranging themselves in formations like musical constellations. When Itsy sang the familiar tune again, the Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. The orbs responded in chorus, layering harmonies and beats. She had never imagined. A glowing control console lit up in the center of the room. The Leo. It wasn't a physical cold, but a stillness that settled into the very circuits of the station. Itsy paused, her legs shivering with static. Her sensors detected a massive energy presence ahead unlike anything she'd encountered. The learning. Notes froze mid-air, their lights dimmed to almost nothing, and then a voice, low and haunting, echoed through the tunnel. "Turn back, little song spinner. The silence must remain." From the shadows, a dark mist began to form. It wasn't like the cosmic rain she had weathered before. This was something ancient, pure, dark matter energy, once locked away in the core of Orbiton. It had been feeding off forgotten songs, abandoned lullabies, and unspoken rhymes. The station's silence had made it stronger, and now, Itsy's melody threatened to undo it. The dark matter coiled like a massive storm serpent, thick and pulsing. It reached for her, its tendrils humming with discordant tones, trying to smother her light and silence her song. Itsy tried to move back, but the path behind her closed with a rumble of shadowy energy. She was trapped. Her tiny heart raced. The tunnel vibrated under her, the harmony of the station replaced by eerie static. For the first time, fear crept into her thoughts. Was this the end? Had she come all this way only to be swallowed by silence? Then she remembered the singing satellites. She remembered the voice of Lyric 9, the forgotten echo of children's laughter, and the glowing orbs that had danced to her tune. She remembered why she was climbing, not just for herself, but for every child who ever sang, every lesson hidden in rhyme, every song that helped a heart grow. Itsy opened her tiny speaker port and began to sing, not softly this time, but with every ounce of courage she had. The Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. Her voice trembled at first, but the learning notes lit up, one by one. They began to pulse, surrounding her like a circle of stars. As she continued the rhyme, the orbs sang with her, forming a protective melody shield that pushed against the dark matter. The creature howled in dissonant tones, recoiling from the harmony. But Itsy didn't stop. She sang louder, clearer, her voice guided by belief. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Lightning-shaped beams of light burst from the learning notes, striking the dark tendrils and unraveling them like threads of smoke. The melody pierced through the creature's form, unraveling it note by note. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. The tunnel blazed with golden light. The shadows thinned, breaking apart like shattered illusions. The energy that once fed on silence now dissolved in the wake of pure sound. And the Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. With one final chorus, the dark matter entity gave out a fading wail and vanished into the ether. The tunnel cleared. The path ahead opened. Light returned brighter than ever. Itsy collapsed. Briefly, breathing hard, her circuits buzzing with relief. The learning notes circled her joyfully. Singing in celebration, she had won not with force, but with a song. The final tunnel opened into a breathtaking chamber at the very peak of Orbiton. The ceiling was a dome of transparent crystal, revealing the infinite expanse of stars, swirling galaxies, and auroras that danced across the fabric of space. Itsy B Spindle stepped forward slowly, her legs still trembling from her battle with the dark matter. But now the fear was gone. The song in her heart burned brighter than ever. As she entered the chamber, the entire room began to respond to her presence. Panels along the walls lit up, forming glowing screens that flickered with nursery rhymes and animations from ages past. Holograms of dancing children, cartoon animals, and twinkling lyrics floated gently in the air. A soft tune played in the background, her tune, the one she had sung all along. The Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. She looked around in awe. This was the core choir chamber Orbitum-Tune's central control hub, where the music of the station once originated and spread across the galaxy. For centuries, it had been silent. Now, because of her, it was alive again. The learning notes joined her in the center, forming a glowing orbit as they hovered in formation. A soft voice echoed through the chamber, warm and melodic. Melody carrier recognized. Activation sequence complete. Broadcasting to all systems? Suddenly, lights across the entire space station burst to life. Dormant screens in every chamber flickered on, halls lit with gentle colors. Musical drones rebooted. Lullabies and rhyme loops resumed playback across corridors and learning pods. But that was only the beginning. High above the station, a satellite dish unfolded, a massive, flower-like structure that hadn't opened in centuries. It turned slowly, sending a golden wave of sound energy across the stars, like a ripple of warmth moving through space. Itsy watched the screen as nearby space pods, colonies, and even faraway educational satellites began receiving the signal. Children on different planets looked up from their quiet homes, their devices lighting up with the signal. Cartoon animations played. Nursery rhymes that had been forgotten suddenly returned to their screens. Tiny faces lit up with wonder. The rhyme had returned. Inside the chamber, a large holographic map showed Orbitum-Tune at the center of the web, music radiating outward in every direction. The Galactic Song Network was active again, stronger than ever. The station's core AI, now fully awakened, projected a final message across the screen. Thanks to one brave voice, the songs of learning live again. The galaxy sings once more. Itsy's glassy eyes blinked. She had never imagined such a moment. She was just a little spider in a big, forgotten place. But she had climbed, she had sung, she had believed. And because of that, the whole galaxy now had its voice back. Suddenly, a platform in the center of the chamber began to rise. A beam of gentle starlight shone down as the learning notes danced around her. A glowing emblem appeared beneath her feet, a golden spider wrapped in a musical note. Honorary Harmony Leader, the AI declared, appointed to Itsy B. Spindle, Guardian of Rhyme. Her mechanical legs clicked joyfully. She didn't know if spiders could cry, but her circuits buzzed with emotion. From now on, she wouldn't just be a maintenance spider, she'd be the spark that reminded the universe of the power of rhythm, learning, and never giving up. Back on Planet Tune, a million children sang together in harmony. The Itsy Bitsy Spider climbed up the spout again. Itsy smiled. She'd never felt more at home. The galaxy had found its voice, and it had started with the smallest of heroes and the simplest of songs.